afternoon, everyone. TechNation editor John Wallace here. Today, we are going to learn more about the ESA700 Series electrical safety analyzers from Fluke Biomedical. This presentation will include a live demo of the ESA700 Series electrical safety analyzers by Fluke Biomedical. It's their easiest to use electrical safety analyzers ever. The ESA700 Series electrical safety analyzers revolutionize electrical safety testing with precision, versatility, and portability. They combine a safety analyzer and patient simulator, making them essential tools for producing comprehensive analysis on medical equipment. They are small and portable, so you can run procedures on the go. They have an auxiliary battery to eliminate power on-off between testing equipment. The touch screen makes complete PMs quick and run procedures without a PC. OneQA workflow automation software allows that to happen. Transform your electrical safety testing with the ESA700 Series electrical safety analyzers. I want to say thank you to today's sponsor, Fluke Biomedical, the premier global provider of healthcare test and measurement equipment, software, and services. They serve biomedical engineers and quality assurance technicians. They have reliability, accuracy, and quality as their foundations for their product and their company. Empowering you to focus only on protecting lives is their goal. For more information, visit flukebiomedical.com. Now it's trivia time. That's right, we're going to give away a multi-tool. Today's trivia question. September is National Mushroom Month. Which state in the United States is the biggest producer of mushrooms? Go ahead and submit your answer using the questions tab and go to webinar, and we will announce the winner a little bit later in the webinar. Now, I want to remind everyone that today's presentation is eligible for 1 CE credit from the ACI. 1 hour after the end of today's broadcast, you will receive an email survey. Completing that survey will grant access to a certificate that you can download and print from your desktop. We will wrap up today's broadcast with a Q&A. Please note that the webinar dashboard includes a questions feature. You can submit your questions for our presenter at any time during the demo. Today's presenter is Jamie Spragus, CBET, a technical sales engineer at Fluke Biomedical. Jamie has 24 years of biomedical industry experience. He has worked in various roles in the industry, starting his career as a technician and moved up through the local biomed management, area service management, OEM biomed modality management, and auditing biomed programs. He has a true passion for and regulatory, as well as precision instruments. He strives to evolve the HTM industry for the next generation of biomeds. Jamie, you may begin whenever you are ready.
Thanks, John. Great introduction. I want to take a few minutes to thank everybody for joining Tools of the Trade on our new ESA700. A little fun fact, I did start my career in biomed in 2001, and in March was the first time I have ever received a brand new safety analyzer. So this has been my first one. So again, just really excited to kind of show everybody the ESA700 and the power of OneQA on onboard automation. So before we kind of get started into the demo, we kind of got a few questions and want to ask a few things, but yeah. So we want to kind of ask, what are you hoping to learn from this webinar? Use the question feature and go to webinar.
And I'm still here, so I'm going to look at that and see. We're hoping to learn. One person has asked, can my customer use both the 600 series and 700 series with OneQA as they make replacement?
So yes, OneQA. Now the 600 series and the 700 series will both work in OneQA. There are some procedures that you may have to build specifically for the device and the procedures that you're running. But yes, the 600 and 700 certs, OneQA can be. The difference is OneQA is now on board the 700 series instrument.
Another person said they're looking to see how user-friendly it is. And they want to learn about the latest analyzer, learn new features with the 700 series. And one person said they're looking to learn the basics and protocol for proper operation.
Okay, yeah, good feedback. So we're going to cover a lot of those aspects in there. We'll cover kind of ergonomics, we'll cover portability. We'll get it on a tabletop bench and kind of go through a lot of the settings and the features, and hopefully we'll cover the wide range of topics that everybody has. Me being a biomed myself, I'll try to cover a lot of the types of scenarios that you'll see in everyday medical equipment testing. So good feedback. So with all that being said, let's take a look. Here is the ESA700 series. As you can see, totally portable, right? And it's on battery, right? I haven't plugged it in, it's on battery. So you ask me, why battery, right? So when we went back to our research and development team, a lot of the feedback we got from everybody, they wanted a nice portable instrument where people could do a lot of their work, save the work on the instrument, and you know, transfer those results. But portability was a big factor. So we kind of went to the drawing board and really got it a lot smaller, more ergonomic. One of the things I absolutely love is the grip right here. So on some flat surface grip, I always say, in case you try to pull a 6-foot cable when you have a 4-foot connected, there's a little bit of grip right here, so it'll hold a little more firm on the bench. In case you do accidentally get it on your and pull it too tight and hit the floor, no big deal. We do have a fuse right here that can be replaced. So again, we want to talk about why did we put a battery and what is the battery at? So it has about a 2-hour battery life. And what you do on the battery, the first and foremost, when we were doing biomed testing, we would go room to room to room. Well, the boot up on the 700 is about a 30-second boot up, but you don't have to do that. So essentially, you load your instruments up for the day. You can go room to room without ever having to cut it off, and it just saves you time throughout the day. Part of what we're wanting to do is we want our instruments to be consistent, and we want to save a little bit of time throughout the day. So no need to reboot in between procedures or in between testing of different rooms. Portability, everybody's familiar. If you are familiar with our 600 series, I'll kind of show you just a little bit of side-by-side comparison of how, you know, we just went back to the drawing board. And, you know, in a field service application, size does matter, right? Weight matters. So what we thought about that, if you're on a benchtop testing and you wanted to remove the carrying handle, you absolutely could remove the carrying handle and get your even smaller platform. So if you had multiple instruments on your cart and you're just running out of room and you don't have anywhere to put your coffee, you can make it just a little bit smaller right here. But yeah, great portable on the go, rugged, CE, CSA stamping, always our Fluke rugged and reliable build quality. So there's a nice little look of the tabletop and what it looks like, what it feels like, how portable it is. Let's go to the benchtop and see what it looks like. But before we do that, we'll go into a little bit of a poll question, and we'll take a poll question. So here we go.
Yes, so the poll question is, what is the biggest challenge you face with electrical safety testing? Option 1 is high workload, too many devices, limited time and resources. Option 2 is skills gap, training new biomeds and knowledge transfer. Option 3 is compliance, meeting standards and regulatory requirements. And option 4 is process and tools, documentation, consistency, automation. And the results are in, and it looked like option 1 and option 4 were the top. Option 1, high workload, too many devices, limited time and resources, received 36% of the vote. Option 4, processes and tools, documentation, consistency, and automation, received 28%, followed closely by skills, training, new biomeds, knowledge transfer at 20%, and compliance had 16% of the votes in the poll.
All right. Yeah, John, it looks like we can cover a lot of these aspects. And again, I think a lot of those are relevant in today's workforce. Give me a second. We'll share my screen and I'll go to our tabletop and we'll talk through some of those. We'll talk through some of those scenarios.
Sounds great. I know everybody will be excited to see that. While you're getting set up, I want to just remind people that there are some handouts in the dashboard, in the GoToWebinar dashboard. So there's some handouts in there for you to look at, and those will be helpful to go along with the webinar. And I'm going to plug the Tech Choice Awards. Voting will be starting very, very soon, October 1st. The finalists will be released, and you, the biomeds, get to vote and pick the winner. It is completely decided by the votes that come in from the people out in the field. So we look forward to announcing those finalists and taking your votes to select our winners.
Thank you, John. So before I get started, can you see my instrument? See my camera? Everything's good? Clarity's good?
I do not see it.
Okay. Let me
Now we see you. Oh, no, we don't.
Uh-oh. All right, give me 1 second. For some reason, I'm not able to get my desktop mode. It says that I'm presenting, but for some reason, I'm not able to share my screen. Give me 1 second, folks. We'll work through these.
Well, I'm glad that you're a biomed and you have a lot of experience with troubleshooting.
Yeah, I do. So what about now? Okay, let's see. Now that I have my.
If you go to your webinar dashboard, at the very top it says sharing. Under that tab,
I do not have sharing. It says that I'm the presenter, and it's presenter has
sharing.
control.
Does it have shows?
Yeah, it says that I have
Does
control.
it give you a show screen?
It does not. That's where it didn't come in earlier. It said show screen, but I do not see where I can show my screen. Let me make somebody presenter real quick, and then go back. I'm sorry about that.
Okay. Guys, while he's working on that, I also want to let you know that the next MD Expo is coming up. It's going to be in Dallas, Texas in November. I hope you can make it. We're also going to be honoring veterans, as the conference will be, one of the days will be Veterans Day. So please come and check out the education, the networking opportunities, a chance to say thank you to veterans for their service. And we will, of course, have a fantastic finale party with live music and barbecue. It's going to be a lot of fun. And that, of course, will all go with the education and the networking that you've all come to know and expect at the MD Expo. So
yeah, thank you for that, John, again, I am still working. I am still working through this. For some reason, I'm trying to. It's not giving me. It's not even giving me the option to make anybody else a presenter right now. But right now, I don't see that I'm a presenter. So if you could try to make me the presenter one more time, I've got everything set up, ready to go. Yeah, here we go.
Go.
There we go. All right. Sorry about that, everybody. Just a little bit of technical difficulties, but so let's get into the ESA700. You know, we talked about some of the challenges in the workforce as far as, you know, we hear that all the time, John, as far as like hearing a lot of times we have more work than we do technicians, right? Back in my day when we first started, you know, we had a lesser volume. So one of the things that we love about the ESA700 is we talked about the portability, but you not only is it an ESA analyzer, but it does many more things, right? On the go, if you're going and you're doing some sort of inventory project, you can always go in there and add your inventory on the go, right? Using our barcode scanner, you could just simply, you wanted to add an asset on the go, you would hit your plus sign, and here you could use, I've got some of your asset tags, you could just simply use your barcode scanner, scan in your asset ID, right? You can go in there and add the manufacturer. And again, it has some of the features where it remembers that a little bit. So we'll just call this a GE dash. We'll hit OK. You know, we'll go to your model. You can add the model on the go. Have more details. Again, a lot of your serial numbers now are barcode enabled. So again, we can use our barcode scanner, scan the barcode, and now we can create an asset right on the go. So again, how many times, and we hear this a lot because it's happened to me a lot of my career, right? You walk the floor, and I'd love to be able to say that medical equipment doesn't just magically show up in a hospital without going through biomed, right? But there are occasions that it does. So in the event that it does, you can add the assets on the go, no problem. Secondly, some of the features that we have in our settings, this ESA is very customizable. So this is the ESA710 model, but I'd like to kind of go through some of the three different models. They all look the same, carry the same hardware platform, but the ESA712 and the ESA715, the ESA712 have the electrical safety standards of 62353, 60601. They have the global standards where our 710 has our NFPA 99 standards. And then secondly, the ESA712 is not equipped with OneQA onboard automation. So if you really just wanted to benchtop testing and it was tethered, that's the model for you. But then our ESA715, which has all the electrical safety standards that you can go and you can adjust right here, whether you're doing 62353, 60601, and it has onboard automation. The screen and sound can be adjusted, the language can be adjusted, the date and time can be adjusted. Again, if you notice there's a printer, yes, there is a printer. We have two USB ports on this side, which you can do barcode scanning. You can do a secure Wi-Fi adapter. That way you're all the time synchronizing back to your OneQA cloud. So as you capture those measurements, they're automatically syncing into your database. And we'll kind of go through that a little bit as we do some testing. Your OneQA application lets you know the tenant that you're in, and it lets you know the last time that you synchronized to your tenant. And lastly, about the unit, right? Quality assurance, we have the calibration date on the instrument. And not only is the calibration date on the instrument, but the moment that you tether back into your PC, that instrument shows up on all the tests that you do along with your calibration date. So, you know, a very important piece of data that a lot of the regulatory bodies like to see, and that's is your test equipment calibrated. And lastly, in our settings menu, we have loaded the user manual. So again, if you have some tests that you know, or some questions or of a test that you want to run, or you just need a little bit of clarity, you can go on the user manual of the device, and it's all there for you. So we've kind of covered some of those, the user and the customizable features of the ESA710. You ask, how does it work, right? So right out of the box, you can start your measurements. And you'll just do a manual measurement, right? And if you notice, it defaults to line voltage. I love having line voltage. Like if somebody, you know, one of the biomeds out there is doing a little bit of troubleshooting, and it possibly could be a battery, and you want to validate if you're having a battery issue or a power issue, you just plug it into your source, go right to measurement, and there you can validate that your power is good. And there's your standard protective earth resistance, and I have it up to device under test. You can save these measurements. Again, all the manual measurements that you're doing, you can save. And the measurements that are saved, you can save them here, and then you can go into your USB, and we'll go through that as well. Here's an amp meter. Again, just a really, really nice little feature. Touch of a button. Now, all those RPTs, if you have approved RPTs, and I know some of the testing standards is where multiple devices, they may be hooked up, and you're looking for the total amperage. There's your amp meter as well. Here is all your leakage settings. Let me went a little blurry. Let me reset real quick. There you go. So yeah, there's all of our chassis leakage. And again, we'll go through some optimized procedures, but wanted to kind of go through some of the manual features. Here's your applied parts testing. And again, one of the differences between our 700 series and our 600 series, our 600 series only had 5 applied parts at the top without LED indication. So here you have LED indication letting you know the groupings, but you have 3 different groupings. So here, if you wanted to do 3 parts, there's a grouping. There's another grouping. So if you had a defibrillator that had ECG applied parts testing and you wanted to do your hands-free paddle testing, you could do it there. And then if you had something else, you could do it on your other 3 groupings and all set that up. But in manual mode, you can set that up however you wanted to do your applied parts testing. Now, point to point. We've got a lot of feedback from our imaging team. Hopefully there's some of our imaging FSCs out there, and we hear you when we hear of some of the challenges of doing point-to-point testing when it comes to imaging. So a lot of what we hear is, A, you can't get this instrument into the MRI suite. While this one is not compatible to go into your MRI suite, what we have is we have 75-foot leads. Now here, we just have some small ones, just standard leads and accessories. But we have a 75-foot lead that you could connect here and here. So what that would do is give you 75-foot, whether you was going out of your MRI suite or out of your CT suite to hook to your mains power, and then your other side of your lead could get you a little closer to do some testing. So we haven't solved the need to actually get the instrument into an MRI suite, but what we can do is eliminate the need of somebody just being really close to a breaker, running back and forth. So if there's any imaging FSCs out there, we hear you, and on our website at Fluke Biomedical, you will see those 75-foot test leads. And then last in our manual measurement, we do have an ECG and a respiration simulation. So there again, you know, if you're cruising down the hall and ICU nurse says, hey, can you come take a look at, you know, one of our monitors that we're potentially having an issue, you can grab your 700, you can set your ECG waveform up, it's set for ECG complex, and there's many different modes and complexes that we can use. We have ECG, we have pulse width, we can simulate ventricular fibrillation right here. So we can simulate a lot of arrhythmias to do some monitor testing. Also, when we get into our software application, our automated procedures, you can see where we can build in those ECG simulations as well. And again, we have the respirations. So no matter what kind of ECG complex that you want to test, we've got you covered there. All right. So now I've taken you through 700. We've looked at it. It's totally customizable. We've looked at it right out of the box. We've taken some measurements. We've saved some measurements. Do want to say again, you can save your measurements and you can export them onto a USB drive, onto your USB right here. Another thing that you can do is you can hook a printer up to the USB. You can also print your biomed sticker. So you can create a small little report, a little template, so you could have completion date, next due date, and then your signature. And there you can print the sticker directly from the ESA700. I think that's one of the coolest features that we have. Another really cool accessory that we have, we talked about applied parts testing. Well, if you have some of your EEGs or you have multiple different waveforms, you can connect to your test block. So 10 leads can go here. You would connect just to one of your ports, and now you can have additional leads and additional testing. So, not only does the ESA come equipped, but we also have some really, really neat accessories to kind of help in some of the scenarios. But to me, the real power is where you're running totally optimized procedures using OneQA onboard automation. So you'll take your barcode scanner, scan your asset tag. If you notice your asset ID comes up, and we're ready to go. Multiple procedures can be attached to your asset. Now, the next few lines is standard boilerplate. It asks for your asset ID. It asks for the procedure that you're running. If you have a work order ID that you wanted to reference, and of course the tester. Really cool thing is, with our open API with OneQA, if your CMMS allows that, we can totally integrate a lot of the data that is captured from your instrument seamlessly into your CMMS. So this information would transfer. You capture all of your quantitative values. You've got your work order ID. You've got your asset ID. You've got your tester. So when completed a procedure, all of that information seamlessly flows right into your CMMS. So essentially, it's going from quantitative values captured on the instrument directly into the CMMS. So just really, really cool technology there. But now we went through that, we want to run our procedure. Again, LED indication. Somebody said earlier, we wanted to see how easy it is to use. It doesn't get more easier than that to let you know, hey, this is where you want to hook your applied parts, a little bit of an illustration. So we'll start our performance testing. Here's another really, really cool feature. You can embed pictures in OneQA onboard the instrument. So not only, we talked about some of the biomeds and like, nowadays biomeds, they get other opportunities and then move on. And so like the need for training everybody sometimes can be quite difficult. But with OneQA, you can add pictures and illustrations on the instrument, right? You can also take snapshots of your service manual to show you very, very detailed illustrations of how to hook up and perform some of these tests. So essentially, once you get new employees, you've already got procedures in there that step them through illustrated procedures. And I've seen it both ways. Guys, I've seen it where you've had multiple pictures in there. And I've also seen it to where, less is better. A guy wants a couple little buttons, mash pass, and we move on. So again, it's letting you know we're going to prepare for simulation. And as you can see on the monitor, We're generating our 60 beats a minute. So built in our procedure, we're not only doing electrical safety, we're doing electrical safety and ECG performance testing. So we have a pass there. Now we're going to go to 30 beats a minute, and you can see the monitor start changing. One of the really cool features about doing this, if you wanted to set your limits, you could set a normal limit, a lower limit to set the alarms off on your monitor. You could reset it back to a normalized limit and then reset it back up to your high limits, capturing a full spectrum of testing all within one procedure. So here I see two things. I see my monitors displaying 30 beats a minute. I also see the audible alarms. So there's a pass. But before we start our electrical safety, it's asking me. I set it up, did all the low-level heart rate alarm and the device display 30 beats a minute? Right, what we're doing is building in a little bit of validation from the biomed doing the work or the technician doing the work. It lets them know, look, I've verified all the waveforms, they look good, and they pass. So here again, another picture illustrating where do you hook up your protective earth. But before we do that, it's going to ask me, you need to zero your lead. So typically you zero your lead every day. Again, letting you know, this is where we zero lead, LED indication. Just doesn't get much easier than that. So you zero your lead. And now we're ready to connect to our protective earth. Now we'll start our electrical safety testing. Now it's going to our applied parts. It lets me know we're going to do on our applied parts, and we need to go to a non-earth. So here's where I got my foil. You would simply just come to a non-earth ground, connect to your foil. Let me do a quick reset. There we go. Color indication letting you know that there's power being applied to the device under test and to not touch your applied parts. But again, everybody look, I'm not advancing anything. The instrument is doing this all through optimized procedure building within OneQA on the instrument. That's why our ESA700 is one of the smartest instruments that we have in our lineup. So one more thing before we finish our test, back to the biomed validation, we're going to sign this work order right from the instrument. That's letting me know I did it. Another cool thing that you can build within OneQA, if the biomed guys are out there doing field service, or you're in clinics, or if we have a field service team, you could set up 2 lines of signature to where the biomed or the field service engineer can sign off on the test. Also, the customer could sign off on the test. So you'd have 2 levels of signature, and it would all go into your PDF work order. So once that's done, you would hit complete. Now we've done an optimized procedure. But if we ever want to go back and look at, we talked about, we have memory, we have memory built on the ESA700. So we can always go back and look at those results of all the tests that we've done. If we wanted to export any, we could just export them. Again, we could print from a printer from here. We could take our USB stick. We could export it from there. Now, when you export it onto your USB stick, it does come out in Excel form, but that's okay. You can always take it, transfer it on into your PC, and then you can start uploading from there. So we've gone through an optimized procedure, but one of the things I want to show is you're not just limited to one procedure. Within OneQA Basic, you can have up to 5 procedures on the instrument, or with our OneQA Complete, you can have unlimited amount of procedures. So you can start building multiple procedures based on all the device types that you have. So if you just wanted to do a quick electrical safety procedure, if you were setting up where you're doing incoming inspection, right? You just did some devices came in, you shipped out to repair, you could just basically run a procedure, and set that up. Just a quick electrical safety. You can scan your device, again, using your barcode scanner. Scan your device. And now let's just run a quick electrical safety with applied parts. Another cool thing I like to do is you can do both, because not all electrical safety devices will have applied parts. So you essentially could set up two if you wanted to. So you could have an electrical safety with your applied parts, then you could have electrical safety without your applied parts, and that would kind of cover a pretty broad spectrum of anything that you would want to do. Incoming inspections, electrical safety, inspections out on the floor. We talked about if you added a device and you was doing an incoming inspection, you could capture all that information on your instrument. Then you could run a quick electrical safety test, so you've done a full incoming inspection on the floor. No need for your laptop, no need for anything else. But again, here's our standard boilerplate. Let's run through this electrical safety pretty fast and to show you the power of OneQA and how fast we can get through a lot of it. So we've already zeroed our lead for the day. We'll go ahead and connect to our protected berth. Skip. Going through all your main voltage checks. Do a quick refocus. Now we want to connect to our non-arc part. Your leakage current, normal polarity. And again, you can set up this electrical safety test as complex as you want. Now you do our applied parts testing. And again, notice how everything just optimizes from one test to the other. Here's your direct applied parts, normal polarity. There you go. We want to hit complete. And we just simulated a full electrical safety in under 2 minutes. So I've covered almost all the spectrum of the electrical safety analyzer. I've covered its portability. I've covered running measurements in manual mode. We've ran a couple of procedures within that's on board. We talked about extracting some of the data. Let's, as we kind of wind down to the end of our presentation, let's get a couple of questions out there and see what the audience has questions for us. So we'll go here. All right, everybody.
Well, Jamie,
yeah.
that was a great presentation. Thank you very much for that. I wanted to look and see real quick what questions we have that came in.
Okay. Yeah, hopefully we covered as much as we could, you know, and having the versatility. Let's see what kind of questions we may have.
All right, let's. I'm going to ask, can we use barcode or only the Fluke option to purchase?
No, as long as it's any barcode scanner that has wireless or USB. And I will tell you, you got to be careful if you have multiple 700s in your shop. because the wireless barcode scanner, you may not want to mix them up. I'd hate for everybody to go grab it on your cart, grab your barcode scanner and get all the way on the floor and realize that you grabbed the wrong barcode scanner. So what we like to do is maybe do a little bit of numbering system if you have multiples, but yes, any wireless barcode scanner that you can purchase. We use the Neptune I think it's the CS750, works really, really well.
Fantastic. Another question we had come in is, did you say earlier that the ESA700 can be used unplugged on battery for at least 2 hours?
Yes, but let me clarify. You can't run a lot of your electrical safety tests unplugged. But yes, it does have a battery life of about 2 hours. And so the moment that you would plug it back into, your receptacle for power to run your test, it immediately starts charging again. But in the event you wanted to unplug it, run down the hall a little bit, grab a quick asset, add it to your inventory, and then come back, it'll absolutely do all those functions as well. Great question.
Another question we had is, what is the difference, or what are the main differences between this model and the ESA612?
Good point. So the ESA612 and the 712 are very comparable, whereas the ESA715, 615, the 615 does differential leakage where the 715 doesn't. And the reason why we didn't do that is we wanted to make it small and portable. So if you needed differential leakage, then you would have to go up to our 620. But yeah, with size and portability, a lot of them, the 715, 615, do a lot of the same electrical safety standards. They're just configured a little different within the instrument and then the size and portability.
Got you. And I know everyone will want to hear the answer to this question. Does it connect to CMMS?
Great question. So our OneQA application software absolutely is integrated. It has an open API, is integrated with CMMS. And right now, we have several of our customers that we've integrated with great results. A lot of it depends on what CMMS that you're using and if it has that open API. And so kind of the general idea is you would open up your work order within your CMMS. You would have your OneQA procedure icon there to load your instrument procedure, capture all those measurements. And when you hit complete, all of those values that as we were going through the values, the captured values that were green and high and checked, those values get mapped right into your CMMS. So when you're done with that work order, essentially all your values are in there from your instrument. Then you would save your work order or date stamp your work order, add some of your fault codes, and you're ready to close it out. So that is a great question. If for some reason, and you can do it in steps. You can have your instrument that's not integrated, and you can take a lot of your PDFs that go right into your OneQA PC. You can upload your PDFs, but the true power is taking it right into your CMMS through your API.
Okay. Another question we had come in is, how does it simulate testing when the neutral is open and the power to the machine is off?
The power to the machine would have to be on. I think if I understand it correctly, yeah, the ESA would have to be on to run those tests. I don't think that you could do it off.
Right,
if they're
another
talking about
question.
medical device, you could test it on and off. Depends on what your standard is reading. Do you do all your electrical safety standards with the power on, and then do all your electrical safety standards with your power off? I know with NFPA 99 standards that you're not required to go into that depth of testing, but there are a lot of manufacturers out there that run hybrids of 60601, 62353, and they're kind of running hybrid electrical safety standards. So you may have to test with both on and off, but the instrument does have to be on.
We had two questions come in that I think kind of go together. One is it operated at 110 or 220 volts? And then the other question is this analyzer, can it be used for devices needing 220 volts?
Good question. We do have a 120 volt model. We also have a 220 volt model. Now that's going to the device under test. And again, a lot of our safety analyzer is a global product. So when you reach out to our sales representative or some of our inside sales team, you can specify the country of origin, and you can specify the power, and then we can configure it however your country of origin and the power. But yes, for the device under test, we do have a 220 model for all of your lasers, for all of your treadmills. And what I like about it, you can do either or. So it'll do 220 or 120 all from the same receptacle. Great question. Really good question.
And another question that came in is, does it have all the cardiac arrhythmia simulations? For example, the medical terms I can't pronounce, tachycardia and bradycardia.
Tachycardia and bradycardia. No, unfortunately, that's kind of would get into like our ProSim lineup to have that level. We do have ventricular fibrillation, which can kind of, that'll simulate a patient, having a heart attack. But no, when you really want to get into that level of detail with patient simulation, you have to go to our ProSim 8 or ProSim Series. Although, like I said, it does have a lot of ECG waveform testing, just not to the depth of that. Another great question.
And then someone asked, it can run on Ensure, same software we use for ESA615. I think they're asking if it can run on the same software that they use for their ESA615.
I will have to clarify that, but I do think that the Ensure software will drive the unit. Now, Ensure is one of our legacy products, which OneQA, our software now, it kind of is the newest version of Ensure, although there are a lot of great, Ensure customers out there where it drives the instrument. But the 700 having OneQA on board on it, that's really the magic's where it's at there. Great questions. And while you're kind of going through that now, a few more questions.
And then
I do want to
just kind of share.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is, while you're getting in some of the questions, anytime anybody on the call or anybody out there wants a live demo, reach out, FlukeBiomedical.com, and you can schedule live demos with me or some of our team. And not only do we do live demos, John, we do them pre-sale or post-sale. So for instance, if somebody bought one and says, hey, I really like it, but I want to make sure it's a fit for my team, fit for my shop and my program, we would absolutely come in and we could do a post-sale demo and go over all the features again with the team and kind of answer some questions as well. So like anytime anybody wants a live demo, just feel free to reach out to us on our website, and we're absolutely happy to do live demos of the ESA700 series.
That sounds great. I need that for the car I bought because it does so many things that I'm sure it does things I don't even know it does. So I would love for the car dealer to send somebody out to my garage and show me and my wife all the different things it can do.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And one of the things that Fluke we pride ourselves in is we don't just stop at the sale, right? We have a great technical support team. So anytime if you may have an issue or going on, you can reach out to our technical support team. A lot of times they'll bring us in as well, and we'll collaborate. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that you're happy with your instrument and that you understand how it's working. So, so we really pride ourselves on service.
And then I just want to share this because I think you will appreciate it. Earlier when we had our hiccup with your camera, we had a few supportive comments. One person said, this is usually when we get support asking, did you restart or power down?
Yeah, there's a biomed in there somewhere, right?
Right. And then we had a great comment that said, this is what makes a webinar great. The authentic feel for dealing with GoTo or Teams or Zoom. Great job. No kidding. This is great. It is hard to show presentation, video, and devices. So
Thank you.
yes, I thought that was very, very nice for them to say. And it is when you have, you have multiple cameras set up and you're going back and forth, but you're putting in a lot of effort to make sure that you can show them the device and how it works. And TechNation appreciates that you do all that for them.
Yeah, thank you. And I will tell you, I was probably the most nervous in the room, but I appreciate the confidence from everybody. But, sometimes being technical and, that's what, in my opinion, John, that's what biomeds face every day, right? They face the challenges of it all doesn't work right. How many times have we been called up to the OR, right? And not knowing what we're getting called up to. We just know we have to jump in, scrub down, run into the OR because the physician is just unhappy or they're having some kind of technical difficulty. So, I always say staying calm under pressure. That's what biomeds do the best.
Some more questions did come in. Can we do a test for DC patient load leakage current for EEG? For requirement for EEG machine?
So that is a good question. And on the EEGs, what you have to do is you probably would need a couple of blocks because I'm not sure right out of the gate how many leads you have on a cap, but you can hook multiple blocks up to our applied part. Say if you have your 3 posts, so you could hook all your leads up and start doing all your applied part testing using your 1 to 10 adapter. I haven't tried that yet, but that's one of the things I'd like to do. So whoever asked that question, if I ever get a chance to come to your facility, let's go do some EEG testing. I never had a simulator that could test that many leads at one time. I just think that's really cool that we have the ability to do that. But yeah, you would hook it up and you can do 2 things. You can run a manual measurement. You could just go to your applied part. You could set it up. You could run your test, or you could build a OneQA procedure in there, show illustrations, how to hook all your applied parts blocks up, and then run through your leakage testing on your applied parts. So you could do that either way. Good question.
And I just want to remind everybody to make sure they check out those downloads in the dashboard. Those are some great handouts on the handout tab that'll really answer some of these questions and provide some more information on this device. One question we had was, when performing a leakage current test with the ESA700 Series analyzer on a Class 1 medical device, how does the analyzer simulate the single fault condition, and what parameters must be verified to ensure compliance with IEC 60601-1?
So 60601. So that would be the 715. And what you would do is you could set your 715 up for the 60601 standard, and it'll automatically have those testing standards where you're doing direct or alternative. But you would set your ESA up for the standard, and then you would start your testing from there. And again, that's built in the instrument and OneQA. OneQA, when you're building your procedures, it'll ask you what are the electrical safety standards that you're testing. And not only will it set the parameters for you, but it navigates you through the IEC standard. The only thing it can't do is you can't have 2 different standards on a procedure. So you couldn't do aspects of 60601 and aspects of 62353. Although we're hearing there are a lot of blended approaches like that, so that may be something we do in the future. But right now, you essentially could have 2 tests. You could do a testing standard for the 62353 and then a testing standard for the 610 and 10.
This will be the last question, and then we'll email you all the ones we weren't able to get to today, so y'all can reach out to them because we're time now. What plans do you have for planning, or what availability do you have for training in Africa?
Training in Africa. Listen, a great question. We just got finished doing some training. We were in Hobart, Sweden last week, and we were doing some training, and we actually had some of our partners from Africa that we were training as far as on the 700 and the ESA715. But you can absolutely reach out to our sales team out there, and we can schedule a demo out there just like we can here and anywhere else around the world. So we do have team members that are ready to demo. They're trained up and ready to go.
And someone else, just real quickly, I know I said that was the last question, but They ask, can you arrange for free user training for the guitar location through an authorized dealer?
Yes, we could. That's another thing that we can do. Again, our sales team around, around that area. We have partners around the globe that can, again, you can reach out to our website or our channel partner that'll be ready to schedule a demo. We have people that are trained and no matter what the region is. And that's cool that we have people from around the globe that, that are on the webinar and asking questions.
All right, that sounds great. It is. We love the reach and the sense of community that that the webinars create for people all around the world, because everyone's a biomed and everyone gets it and they like to help each other.
That's right. And again,
well, Jamie, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with the TechNation. Oh, sorry. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with the TechNation community today. We really appreciate it. The winner of today's multi-tool for correctly answering the trivia question is Mark Woodruff in California. The correct answer is Pennsylvania, closely followed by California. Pennsylvania has the most mushrooms, apparently, followed closely by California. Now, a quick reminder that you can obtain your CE certificate by completing the post-webinar survey. The survey will be emailed to you in 1 hour. You must complete the survey to receive your 1 CE credit from the ACI, and you will be able to download the certificate directly from your computer once the survey is completed. If you have any questions, you can reach us through email at the email address webinar@mdpublishing.com. Again, I want to mention that the 2025 Tech Choice Award finalists will be announced very soon. Be sure to visit onetechnation.com. That's the number 1, technation.com, and sign up for the newsletter to get notified when the award voting starts. The awards are 100% determined by voters. Thank you for tuning in today, and until the next webinar, I hope you have a great day, and we will see you soon.
Bye, everyone.